Hey, everybody. On today's show, we have a very, very, very special guest. She's an actress, writer, comedian, podcaster. We're going to get into some gay sex with Ashley Gavin. So grab a drink and enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who Invited Her. We are San Diego's LGBTQ plus pop culture podcast. I am your host, Tony, and I'm here with the crankiest drag queen in San Diego. Miss Miriam T is here this week. Hi, Miss Miriam.
It's she, her, me, Miss Miriam T. You know, that is a title that I wear with pride.
I know you do.
I love being the crankiest queen on the block.
And you are. And the one who's making sure this ship does not sink. Producer Rob's here. Hi, Robbie.
Hey, everybody. I'm here, too.
And the boys, Bashi and Eric, are off this week, but we have a very, very special guest that I'm super excited that Miss Miriam T and I get to chat with. She is an actress, a writer, a comedian based out of New York, and has a very popular podcast all about gay sex called We're Having Gay Sex. It is Ashley Gavin. How are you, Ashley?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, I'm so excited you are on today. So you're in New York right now, right? You're based in New York.
Yeah, I am.
So first off, how is the weather there? Because I heard you guys have a lot of snow.
Yeah, it just really came down. I just realized that I have the live open. I just closed it. I was like, why am I hearing their voices again and again and again and again? I was like, damn, how do they do this? They're so talented. I closed it. It's out. It's really cold. It snowed it hasn't snowed like that since I was a little kid. I grew up in New York City, and we haven't had snow like that since I was an actual child. So it's been really fun.
That's good. Here it's a chilly 70 degrees with like no clouds in the sky. Yeah, it's nice in San Diego. It's a beautiful weekend in San Diego. Thank God. We had rain last week, but this week's been good. So Ashley, how did you?
The worst.
I know. How did you get?
This city shuts down when it rains.
Oh, people freak out. They don't know how to drive. It's like the end of the world, and I'm talking sprinkling. People are like, "Oh my God, what's happening? It's apocalypse." They don't know how to react in weather. It's crazy. So Ashley, you do stand-up in New York. How did you get started in stand-up? Like, did you always want to do it as a kid, or?
You know, people ask that, and you're like, how do I tell them about the void in my heart?
Yeah, exactly.
I think all artists have a void in their heart, and we're just trying to look at how to fill that. Yeah, but I think I always wanted to be a performer. I worked in tech for a few years, like trying to avoid that life, because I think anyone with a brain would not choose to become a stand-up comedian or a drag queen or anything else.
I know.
In that realm. But then I just was very sad. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to really give this a shot. And that's when I started stand-up.
Oh, nice. So when preparing for the show all week, I've been like watching Ashley Gavin comedy all week, right? So on Wednesday, I went into like a hardcore Ashley Gavin comedy K-hole for like 2 hours, stoned off my ass. And I was laughing. I'm a good 45 minutes into your video. And then a TEDx talk comes on, and it's you explaining computer science. Yeah. And I'm like, is that her twin? Is that her? What's going on?
Also, I had never tweezed my eyebrows up until that point. Yeah. So it really just does look like a twin or something, like this other Ashley that chose a wildly different life.
And I am
pants are awful,
completely stoned, and it threw me for a loop, and I had to keep checking to see if it was the same Ashley.
No, it's me. That's my TED talk that I wish didn't exist.
But you got your degree in computer science, right?
Yeah. And that's what I studied.
Comedy.
I know, it's so dumb. What is wrong with me? Why am I doing this?
Well,
I could be
same
rich.
With mine. Well, I got like an art degree, and I was like, I'm going to be an artist, live on the beach. No, they don't tell you don't make shit as an artist. And now I'm in finance. It's like totally ridiculous.
I wish I were in finance. I wish.
I
So-
wish I had finance.
Don't we
Yeah.
all? So you have a very, very popular podcast. We're having gay sex. And let everybody know what the premise is about the podcast, because I think it's a brilliant idea and it's so hilarious.
Thank you. So it's me and my friend Gara. Gara is my youngest, queerest friend. I call them my youth in the sound booth. They keep me from getting canceled. They're there because we have all these conversations with gay, straight, trans, cis, non-binary, anyone that you can think of. It doesn't matter if they've had gay sex or not, comes on to We're Having Gay Sex to discuss sort of like what gay sex, how gay sex is relative to their life. And they might tell a really raunchy story. They might tell like a coming out story. And it's just a lot of fun. It feels like you're inside a conversation with all of your queer best
Yeah.
friends. And a lot of people don't have queer best friends. So if you're
True.
straight, you get your questions answered. And if you're queer and you're feeling alone, you can turn to this, to have those conversations maybe that you can't have in your small town.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys cover like everything, because some of the conversations I'm like, oh yeah, they have no holds bar. No holds
Oh,
bar. with these
There's no line. I
Yeah.
think last week in an episode I said, "Oh, my girlfriend said I can't talk about that." And that's
Yeah,
the
I remember your
first
girlfriend,
time.
Jen, right? Jennifer.
Yeah. She was like, "That one's off the table." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I got to respect your privacy." But if it were just me, I'd put it out there for sure.
And you've had great
Um,
guests. Like you have Mateo Lane, who I love, and Emma
Isn't he the
Willman.
best?
They both
Yeah,
are, and I listen to their show too, and they're hilarious. I love both. And
They're
you had
so funny.
RuPaul's Drag Race. Dita Ritz was on your show too, which was a very
Yeah.
interesting episode.
We have, I don't know what's happening.
know.
People just do my podcast.
Because you know what it is?
and I
It's
don't
about
know
sex.
why.
It's about sex.
I
People
mean-
want to talk about sex. Sex, everybody can relate to sex. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I don't think anything like this, it's weird, but I don't think there has been a mainstream gay sex podcast. There's
Mhm.
like tons of sex positivity for women. And I feel like straight men have had free reign
Yeah.
with their genitals for millennia. So, it is really something new, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and you and Gara approach it with, it doesn't matter if how you identify, you always tie it back to whatever you did sexually this week, we're going to make it gay. We're going to talk about the gay version
Yes.
of it. So it's very relatable to everybody. Like everybody can relate to it because everybody's having sex, and you just point out kind of what part of their sex activity was gay or gay-ish, gay related, I guess.
There's so much mystery around it when in reality, most of it is stuff that everyone has done. So it's very strange to me that there's just like, how does it work when everyone has done this stuff, So
Yeah.
that's always a fun aspect of the show too.
Has there ever been a guest or a conversation that you were shocked of when it came up on the show, where you're like, wow, okay, I didn't expect it to go this way?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think that people have asked me that before, and I'm never prepared to answer it because I am so open-minded on the
Yeah.
show. There's like literally not anything. I guess when Dita Ritz said that you can put gerbils in your butt, that was like a thing that people did.
Very
That I was like, what?
Do they still do it?
I don't know if people still do it.
do it. I know it was a thing,
Yeah.
which is terrifying.
Well, you remember that? Well, I'm old as dirt, but there was a rumor way back in the day that Richard Gere used to shove gerbils up his
Yes.
ass. I remember hearing that when
Yeah.
I was a kid.
And who makes that up?
I know.
That has to be true. I'm going to get sued for slander. That has to be true because how can you make that up?
Or why? Who was they were sitting around going, you know what? I'm going to start a rumor about Richard Gere. Gerbils. Let's do
That
it.
he
You know what I mean?
That he led a gerbil into his anus via a paper towel roll. That's how they do it, right? Is it through a paper
Is
towel
it,
roll?
is it?
I don't.
I think so. I think the walls have to be fairly loosened, and then I believe you.
Well, yeah.
I would assume, and I believe you put a paper towel roll in your butt, and the gerbil, you put it in the tube, but it has nowhere to go. And somebody else The thing is, that most
You
of somebody-
become
I
Tube
would
City.
assume
You become Tube
Yes,
City.
you have to,
Yes.
somebody has to help you doing this. I'm assuming the gerbil
Well,
operates.
sure, the pet shop owner and
Yeah, that
Can you
lovely
imagine
sales
somebody
associate
walking
at
in and be like, "I
Petco.
need your finest gerbil, please. I have a."
and he's like, "Not you again.
I know.
I was on the local news because of you."
Oh God, it just dances around on the prostate. I wonder
Why?
dancing.
Why?
I love that. I'm gonna
Does
change
it-
my drag name to
Imagine
that.
if they had little tap shoes on and you just hear them in your rectum just tapping around in there.
Can you imagine how cute gerbil tap shoes would be?
I know.
Very
That would
cute.
be adorable. Okay, DreamWorks. I think you have an opportunity here. Tap
Yeah.
dancing gerbils.
There you go, DreamWorks. Come on, Pixar. Pull it
Reformed-
together.
Reformed gay sex working tap dance anal tap
Reformed.
dancing gerbil. Yeah, they've reformed. They've left their anal tap
It's
dancing.
documentary style.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now they
The
want
gerbil was like, I came across I was having a tough time. I was in the street. I came out to my
Exactly.
mom. I got kicked out. I had nowhere to turn but Richard Gere's asshole. It was the only place that would take me in.
I mean, the paper towel roll was right there. I mean, you couldn't say no.
And a
It was
part
a
of their
clear
recovery
shot.
process is tap dancing together in unity.
Yeah.
I
I
think
love
it's-
it. I would
I
watch
think
it.
it's
I'd subscribe.
Solid material.
So that was probably one of the most shocking things you heard on your show, Ashley.
Yeah, just because it involves a living creature.
Yeah.
I think I was, I'd heard for the first time in detail about rodding, which is,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, no, thank you. I can't.
and for
It's- ugh.
the listener at home,
Yeah, go
if you
ahead
don't
and
know,
just-
it involves a like a metal rod in the pee-pee, but they
You have to
call it
call it-
not rodding, sounding.
Sounding.
yeah.
That's what
And
it
then
is.
they'll ding it. And I didn't know that the vibration was like a critical part of the
Oh, I didn't know that.
like it can ring into the prostate.
That's-
I have learned so much about male anatomy from this podcast that I had zero, and I'm not an expert. I have no sex education background, like
yeah.
literally, and I try to tell people I'm not an expert and I don't want you to think that I am, because I will not give it's not an advice podcast. It's entertainment, it's
Yeah.
openness, it's authentic conversation, but people often write to me for advice and I'm like, I am not the right person.
Yeah,
not the
you
one.
you get like moms and stuff writing to you wanting advice for their kids. don't
Wow,
you?
thank you for listening.
I do.
to the
I'm telling you, I listen to the podcast.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That means so much to me. Yeah. We've had moms, we've had people who are going through a divorce because they've realized after however many years of marriage that they're gay. I mean, just like really huge problems, real stuff. And I'm glad they take comfort in the podcast. I don't want them to leave,
Yeah.
but I also would read. I'm always like, there's probably a queer center in your neighborhood that, like, in the state at least, that you can reach out to get the
Yeah.
answer to your questions, because I'm going to give you inaccurate advice.
But it's like honest advice. It's very raw advice, which I like. The one thing I do love about your show is there's a lot of other sex shows out there, but there's none from a gay female point of view that
Mm.
covers everybody. Like, it's not just about lesbian sex, it's about just sex, down, dirty
Yes.
sex all over the board. And I think for me as a gay man listening, I haven't heard a podcast like this from a gay woman's point of view, and that to me is fascinating. And it's like
We really
very
try.
relatable. Yeah,
We try to be inclusive. Obviously our female listenership is our biggest block of listeners, as opposed to our male listenership. And I think when you have, that's just natural. If you
Mhm.
have like a lesbian host, a lot of people that listen are going to be lesbians or bisexual. But we have like a fair. I get reached out to by gay men, and I love our gay male listeners. I love our trans listeners, our straight listeners, because they're the people I'm like, wow, you listen to this too. Like, that's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
we're not even, I like to, I don't know. I think there's just too many barriers between
oh yeah,
queer people, and we act like, I don't know, we it's so weird how segmented the cultures are. And I just wish we would all connect a little more.
yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Especially, being older, I remember growing up, and there was always this weird relationship between gay men and lesbians, especially at the bar. Don't see it as
Yeah.
much now, thank God. But I used to, and I never understood why. Like, I'm like, why is there the gay and lesbian wars? I don't get it. Why?
Yeah. I have done a little research into it. I think a lot, I mean, this is kind of a Debbie Downer, but I think some of it comes across from the AIDS
Yeah.
crisis, where I think lesbians really tried to distance themselves
Hmm.
from gay men, from what I understand. And that, yeah, that would
Yeah.
do it. That
That'll
would
do it.
create some lack of trust in some communities.
Yeah.
But hopefully, now we're in a new place, and I hope we can reconnect. We're starting
Right.
here. We're
We're
starting
starting
right here.
But also in the AIDS crisis, a lot of gay men don't realize that there was a huge
Huge
group of
lesbian.
lesbians that were the saviors for that.
Yeah.
They set up massive because gay men couldn't donate blood, and so lesbians showed up and did
Oh,
Yeah.
lesbian only blood drives. There's a lot of, if you haven't researched that, like take a look at that. There was a huge movement of like lesbian only blood
Hmm.
drives through the HIV crisis.
There
that's
was a
so cool.
there was
I
a
love that.
documentary,
Not
I
what it's
think, about it.
called.
There
It's
was a
they have
documentary
yeah,
about it on HBO. I
it's
want to say
it,
it came out years ago.
yeah, because there was such a shortage of blood and whatnot, and so they stepped up to the plate and did that too.
Yeah.
Also, I think it has to do with just men are awful, gay or not.
Oh yeah,
And
they are. They're horrible.
like we the toxic masculinity, it steeps into the gay culture too, and that makes us like
So much more
so
than I
many
realized.
yeah,
Yeah.
working in gay bars, I hear so much hate towards lesbians just because they're women, and it's just this stuff that's ingrained in gay men's heads.
Don't hate us because
Um,
we're women. Hate us because we're annoying, but not because we're women. Come on.
Absolutely, I
I
love that.
know. God.
Sorry, I can't not shit on lesbians. I love us, but also come on, guys.
It's
It's
the
a
same
lot.
as gay men are. I can't stand gay men half the time. They annoy the
I've
hell out of me, and
actually
I'm a gay man.
I've actually started gravitating towards lesbians more. I think
Yeah.
it's because now more of my gigs are at our women's bar here in San Diego. And so now I'm just like, oh my God, better than gay men.
I know. Bless
I
you.
like an
Wow.
old grizzled lesbian. That's my
Oh, me
favorite. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I'm turning into that. Like she's not sensitive anymore. She's not a snowflake anymore. She's just like, I've seen some shit, Like
I
she's
I swear to God, that's
that's
my
what I
spirit
want to be.
animal. I swear to God, that is my spirit.
Fran Lebowitz. Fran Lebowitz. That's
Did
who
you watch the
wanna-
documentary?
I'm
on
in
her
the
on
middle of it.
Netflix?
She's
It's
my
so good,
spirit
isn't
animal.
it?
I'm fucking obsessed with her.
Yeah.
I want to
she's
be young.
amazing.
I want to be like modern Fran Lebowitz. Like that's like my career goal.
I love her. She's so good. Me and Robbie watched it last week or a week ago. It was really, really good. If anybody
So
wants to watch it.
good.
Yeah. So on the podcast, you have your youth in the booth, Gara. So first of all, before we get to Gara, because I want to like talk about the whole cancel culture and all that you guys bring up on every episode.
Oh, we gotta have Gara on.
I know
sometime.
she cracks me up. Like, and when I was started listening to the podcast, I had a completely different visual of what Gara looked like. And then when I saw on video, I
And
was
then
like,
you saw the mullet.
that is not how I pictured her at all. It made it
A
even
young
better.
queer with a mullet?
I know, right? It was so good.
Yes.
But how did the concept of the show come about? Like, what made you decide I'm going to do a podcast about gay sex? Let's do this.
I had gotten out of like some serial monogamy for a really long period of time. And then I started dating pretty hard because I had never gone through like a sleeping around type of phase. And when I came out and was young, I had some trans friends. I don't remember when I came to understand non-binary. Gara's non-binary.
Yeah.
And I don't remember when I first learned about that, but when I got back in the dating scene, I was like, oh, I don't like know I'm like old compared to the new queer scene.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, it'd be fun to have a youth on the podcast every week. And I had this idea for like this rotating youth that was just like the queerest person that I could possibly find. And I knew that Gara, that they would be the perfect person to start with. But then they were just so fucking funny
Yeah.
that I was like, oh, we have to keep you on until you're not a youth anymore. Like that's like, and I don't know what that point is, but we have a great natural chemistry and
Yeah,
we're
you
good
guys
friends in
do.
real life.
Yeah.
So it just kind of went on,
Yeah.
They pitched themselves to me too. They were like, I think you should have me for longer.
I love when
And I'm
she
glad that I did.
tells the story that you sat down, I think it was in a diner somewhere, and you said, I'm gonna have a rotating youth come in, and she looked at you and she says, no, you're not. And then it's gonna be me. She tells that story. I forget where I heard her say it, but it made me laugh. I was like, that is so
I don't
awesome.
remember what episode that's on.
I think it might have been you guys were on another podcast, I think, that they were interviewing
okay.
Gara on, and I had caught it, and I remember her telling the story, and it stuck with me because it made me laugh so hard. But but I
sorry.
love her on the show. Like she brings because she's young. Like she's young enough to be
Yeah, very
my
young.
daughter. Like because I'm old as dirt, but she brings a very like different point of view, especially if for the listeners who want to tune into we're about gay sex, the podcast. She starts off in the first episode very PC snowflake.
Super worried about Gara has come a long way about getting canceled.
That's one of my favorite parts of the show is watching her.
They really have shifted. They give me more leeway now. But in the beginning they were like, you can't say that. Like, oh my gosh, you're canceled.
Yeah.
But now and then they'll chime in and be like, oh, you're a little canceled on that. But I think I've learned a lot too about how to better phrase things, because a lot of times it's not really about the thing. Usually the intention is good. It's just oh, did you phrase it the right way? Did you use the right words? Blah blah blah. It's just contextualizing it.
Yeah, and they do a very good job of that balance of keeping it like, okay, PC, okay, no, but in the way they explain it on the podcast, amazing. Like it just adds a whole nother layer to your all's show, and I love it.
Thank you.
But with the cancel culture, what have you noticed with the cancel culture, especially now? It seems just very kind of almost dangerous in a way.
It's a little scary as a comedian in particular, especially now that I'm, not to toot my own horn, but before the podcast, literally no one knew who I was. I mean, I had like a very avid local New York fan base. But other than that, it was just nobody. And now that I've put things on the internet and they get however many millions of views, you see comments where you're like, oh, wow, I did not anticipate that kind of reaction to that. And it's kind of this piling on. And it's interesting because people are really, I think mostly there just to vent and they don't mean anything by it. But when you have like so many people just kind of venting at you, and this is not getting canceled. This is just like someone takes your point of view to an extreme because it's a 1 minute stand-up clip, and maybe they don't watch a lot of stand-up, or maybe something that particularly happens in my stand-up as a gay person is, because I think you're held up to a higher standard, is maybe my like cis lesbian point of view is not representative of gay men. It's not representative of non-binary people, trans people. So sometimes people will be like, well, what about this? And I'm always like, well, sure, but it's my stand-up. I can't speak for them. I want all of those stand-ups to rise up and become, famous and funny for their point of view, but you can only speak from your own point of view when you do stand up. And so sometimes people feel that you're leaving someone out, when in reality, the art is it's a solo art form. So you kind of have to give an artist a little bit of leeway that they don't make caveats for every single possible scenario. Yeah. I guess, I don't know if that kind of makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
And how is it performing stand up for a gay crowd, I guess you could say, versus straight crowd, because we had another older lesbian comic on our first season, and she had very strong viewpoints about the different audiences. So I'm wondering for you how that is, especially in New York.
Bottom line, straight people are way more fun to perform for.
I can second that.
I'm
Yeah,
so
Mariam?
sorry, Gabe.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, queer fans. They just don't think as much about the implications of every single word that they're hearing. And I stand by my stand-up. I don't think I have made jokes where I'm like, you know what? That doesn't meet my moral bar, or like I don't feel totally right saying that. I'm not going to make that joke anymore. Even as I'm working out a joke, I'm realizing, oh yeah, this is a little iffy. I'm not sure I should say that. But at the end of the day, when I put something out, like particularly on the internet, I'm usually like really confident in the content. But when you're performing for straight people, they don't come in there being like, all right, okay, who are you gonna offend today? Whereas queer people, I think, are a lot more like, frankly, they're more thoughtful. They're more thoughtful, like kind, sensitive people. So when they hear something, they really think about it before they're like, okay, yeah, that's not offensive. But even that brief amount of time impacts the joke
so
landing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not all of them, obviously. That would be silly to say. It also, like, you as a comedian have to build trust with your audience. The trust that I build with a straight audience is like totally different than the way that I build it with a gay audience.
Yeah.
With a gay audience, they kind of they know that I'm not they know that frankly, that I'm not trying to be one of those, oh, I'm not PC comics. I'm not one of those. I'm not worried about PC police in my comedy. It doesn't bother me. So you have to prove that to them, that you're okay with some political correctness and that you understand there's a place for it and you know what that line is. That's what you're doing for gay people. For straight people, you just got to be like, I like tits. Don't you guys like tits? And the men are like, yeah, I like tits. And then everyone's good. Everything's squared away. They're like, oh, she's not an angry lesbian. She likes tits like me. So that usually does it.
And Ms. Mariam, is drag the same?
Oh,
For-
100%.
Yeah?
Especially with working at Lips for so long. Well, you are familiar with Lips, I'm sure. There's one in New York City.
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a drag queen dinner theater. There's 5 throughout the country. But our clientele is 90% straight folks. A good chunk of them it's their first
That's
time
great,
ever
though. That's
seeing
awesome.
drag.
Yeah.
It is awesome. But it's just what my boyfriend loves to hear. He's like, tell me one of the jokes you tell the straight people, because he's like, it's not that funny. But but I can't give them what I do I can't give them a joke that I give at a gay bar. I can't do the same thing that I do at a gay bar because it just over the head, and they're just, and it's very easy to, in the same way that you can identify, you like tits, I can very much be like, oh dude, my dick's in my dress. Like I can identify with the straight guy who's balled up, nervous, to drink Bud Light at a drag show, that afraid is some cross-dresser is going to touch him. And you can kind of level with them in different ways.
Yeah.
It's very different. Straight people are really fun to perform. It's like a kid going to Disneyland for the first time, and they're just happy to be there, and they're just like amazed by the spectacle of it all.
Yeah, it's new. It's exciting.
Yeah,
they thought about it one time, and now they can laugh about it and like learn.
They saw the VHS plan your vacation tapes at home things, and they're like, oh, we're finally here. And especially with drag, because there's an extra layer of, it's gay, it's very queer, but then you have the razzle dazzle sparkle of the cross dressing and the flamboyancy of drag, that it's just kind of visual overload for them, and it makes the job much easier.
See, comedians and drag queens, same thing.
Yeah, it's similar.
Well, drag queens are hilarious. Drag queens do.
Some drag queens are hilarious.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
That's how I started. So I moved out here to be a stand-up comedian and an improv actor.
Oh.
I did that, and it was and I had always dabbled in drag, and then I started dabbling in drag more, and I was like, well, this isn't working. And then I would go back to comedy. I was like, well, this is boring. And then one of my stand-up comic friends was like, hey, will you do this benefit show as your drag character? And I was like, huh.
And you
Sure.
did.
6
Yeah.
months later, I quit my job and was a full-time drag queen hostess doing comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
You
And now
found
the
it.
monster was
Yeah, it was just one of
created.
those things that was like, hi, you really like doing stand-up, but you don't really like the stand-up scene. The stand-up
Yeah.
scene, bless you.
I cannot imagine anyone. You said, well, this is boring about stand up. I literally cannot think of a less boring thing than stand up. It is truly like just a punch in the face every day. I've never gotten home and been like, that was boring. Like it's either like I'm high, like I'm literally
adrenaline
high, or I am deeply depressed. Like there's
think-
nothing in between.
I think when I what I mean when I say boring, I missed that what part of my soul or whatever. Missed
Yeah, you're missing the
drag.
yeah.
And also there's a deep camaraderie that comes with drag that I feel like you don't get with stand-up a lot of times, because I know at least here a lot of the stand-up comedians, like one thing I really didn't enjoy about doing stand-up is you can be in the green room right before the show and everybody is just in the zone, dead, just like nobody's talking to each other, because it's stand-up is rough and you're like trying to like get in the zone for it. And I was like, and I love the kiki and the cackling and the pre-showness of drag and that bond. So it was like a happy medium. Not all stand-up comedians were like that. Not all stand-up shows, but it was a happy medium for me to mix the drag and the stand-up.
Yeah.
I do think stand-up feels like a zero-sum game. Well, compared to podcasting and content creation that I'm doing right now, everyone has treated me so kindly, so kind with their resources. They share contacts. It's just like they promote. I think when you're a stand-up comedian, when you're an actor, there's one audition slot. There's 5 late night slots. So you, at the end of the day, like it is a zero-sum game, and that creates a different type of environment. I still love comedians, but they don't have that everyone here can succeed mindset that I think I see in the podcasting world that I love. I love that part of podcasting.
And the podcasting world is still relatively a small kind of community, even though now it seems like everybody and their mother has a podcast.
I know. I'm so glad I started 6 months ago. I mean, even then I was like, this is everyone's doing it. I gotta get in.
Because we started ours 4 years ago, and I felt like we were late to the game, and then now I'm just like, I can't believe.
No, that feels. God, I wish I started 4 years ago.
Yeah. So since your show is based off of having gay sex, and we've been in quarantine, how has that affected the show? Has it?
I'm so authentic with my audience that I wish I were less authentic so that I didn't say this, because I don't want it to affect people listening and like listening to my stories.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I am like really doing deep memory dives about where I'm like, okay, well, what's another time that I had sex and it was like remotely interesting? Because I'm dating, I have a girlfriend and I love having sex with her, but like there's something about being with a new partner that introduces the opportunity for things to go wrong in a comical way that you don't necessarily have with your longtime partner. So between quarantine and being in a long-term relationship, I am constantly like, what am I going to talk about this week?
Yeah, because I remember at the beginning of when your show started, when you told the story about the witness protection. With the girl you dated with the witness protection.
My greatest accomplishment. Yeah.
If you guys haven't listened to it, go listen to Where Having Gay Sex, especially that episode. I think it's episode 1 or 2, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's the first one.
Is it the first one?
It was that was sort of the moment where I was like, oh, like I have to like talk about this after I had sex with her. I was like, these are stories.
Yeah. And you have a lot of them. And even now, even on the newest episodes, it still feels fresh. Like all the stories still feel very fresh. Yeah, it's great. And I love you just did an episode with, I listened to their podcast too. The Mr. Christopher and the pup.
Yes.
Oh, it was so good. Yes. But
I love them.
The thing is I listened to their show, and and what you had them do on your show is what their fans don't get on their show. It was a
really?
Yeah, it was a very, I don't know how to put it, but more of a real conversation with them about their relationship and about the pup community.
That's
and
what you get when
everything.
you don't plan at all. You just sit down and you're like, well, whatever happens, happens. You
Yeah.
get-
It was a good episode. I liked it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But,
it
I
was
mean,
really
we don't
cool.
do, we say to everybody, it's just going to be a conversation.
And it is, and that's what it feels
and we
like.
and we really live by that. And sometimes you look like an idiot. Sometimes, people are very famous, very successful. They're very famous. They're very successful. They have this
Yeah.
whole puppy play thing going. I had no idea. And, you
It
kind of
was
look like a novice,
fascinating.
but
Yeah.
it is. It's very fascinating.
Because in our first season, we had somebody that creates all the puppy gear who was kind of on the outskirts of the community, but he created the hoods and all that stuff. Come on and explain that. But it was nice to get the viewpoint of somebody who actually is in the community and does all the pup thing on a daily,
Yeah.
like their daily life. I thought it was fascinating. And you have a lot of guests that do that on the show. Like you just find out you had this straight guy who talked about anal sex and how he likes his ass worked and all that kind. And he was like full on straight, and he was very
The straightest.
very honest about it. And it was a hilarious
I love
episode.
that.
It is.
He's
And
a
then-
great guy. Yeah, he was. I mean, we chose him for a reason. The one demographic that I need to have more of, that any of my listeners are going to be like, "What the fuck, Ashley?" But cis straight men, I would love to bring them in more, because I want cis straight men at home to know that they can
Okay.
learn about this stuff and
Yeah.
talk about this stuff and kind of face their own sexism towards lesbians
Mhm.
and maybe toxic masculinity when it comes to gay men, and any kind of questions that they have, like fetishization of trans people, like all those things.
Yeah.
I want them to have more access to it so that it makes the world a better place. That's my
Right.
goal.
So there is something you do that I am terrified of going on and doing, and that's TikTok. And you're big on
sure.
TikTok.
Dang.
I know.
I'm
it
terrified
terrifies
of it
me.
today.
But you have a huge following on TikTok, and your videos do so good. What made you decide to go on TikTok? Because even now we have a TikTok account. We don't post anything because we're all terrified of getting on there. And plus, I feel
It's-
old as dirt when I go on there. So
I did feel old when I started. My girlfriend was actually the one
wait, how old are you?
that
Can I
had
ask?
talked to me about it. I'm 33.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're like, okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
she
no, I'm still
actually
old.
is.
I'm in my 40s. So yeah.
Oh, I mean, I feel ancient in this industry, but I'm trying to take good care of my skin. Do you have any tips?
Miriam T's great with skin.
I can tell.
What is up with your sound, Miriam?
You guys all just went all super robotic.
I know, I heard it. It kind of freaked me out. So with TikTok, how did
talking about
you?
skin.
Yeah, how did you get
Yes.
started with TikTok, or why did you?
So I started the podcast. I did a blast to my email list. I did
Yeah.
a blast on my Instagram. I had gotten small amount of downloads that I was like, cool, like not bad for like my first week. Okay. And I was feeling really proud of myself. But I also I have a fucking like message board where you can put the letters on the little thing in my kitchen, which is just my entire apartment. But I had on there, I had become so cynical of stand up and Hollywood, because I just felt like, not to toot my own horn, but I felt like I was really fucking good, and I didn't understand the sort of distance between my career goals and my talent. So I was like, okay, well, Dane Cook is well known for whatever you think of his comedy or him as a person. He's well known for establishing his fan base by himself. He's one of the first comics to really do this on the internet. So I wrote on my board, what would Dane Cook do? Because everything that I was doing, I was like, I have to do this myself. I have to do this myself. And I was like, Dane Cook would be on TikTok. That's where he would be, like 100%.
Your inspiration with Dane Cook
was Dane Cook. I should probably have him on the podcast.
I know. Dane Cook is your spirit animal.
I don't even know what he's like in trouble for these days.
I know,
but
right?
I truly. But so I threw one of my clips up on TikTok. I had no idea about TikTok. I leave my phone at home sometimes when I go for a walk in quarantine because, it's just like the one moment of peace I get every day.
Yeah.
I go out, I go to the park, I meditate, I come back. My phone has exploded. My podcast clip went viral. Truly just the dumbest luck. I mean, it's a funny podcast, but there's plenty of funny people who don't go viral. Finally, some good luck. And then I just kept posting the clips. And then I thought, okay, like maybe I should put my stand-up on here. So I just put stand-up on there, and you do something every day, you get good at it,
Yeah.
So I just was like, I'm going to do this every day. And trust me, there are days where I want to chuck my phone out the window because I post something that I think is absolutely brilliant and it doesn't get it. It's an addictive, horrible.
See, that's how I would be. I'd be like,
they're almost like pagan gods to me at this point when I'm doing I have like rituals that I do, like when I put I'm looking at the hashtag, I'm a nutcase.
oh my God, it's like that TV show American Gods with the new gods, old gods. I don't know if anybody watches that. Maybe it's just
I've heard about.
It's a great show. But so do you scroll on TikTok and check out everybody else's TikToks and what people are doing?
Use TikTok to get kind of research. What are other people doing that are successful? What could I be doing? What are the trends? But I think what's great about TikTok is you don't necessarily have to follow the trends to be good. It has such a sophisticated algorithm.
Yeah.
So you can really do your own thing.
Yeah.
My thing is sort of crowd work. People really love when I yell at hecklers. That's like the number
Those are
one
my
thing
favorite
for
ones
me.
of your videos. I like the
Thank you.
Brandon one. I like the Brandon one, the Harvard one that you did with the Harvard guy.
Bradley.
That's the one, Bradley. Yeah, they're hilarious. Oh, and Shirley, the 72-year-old grandma with the pink dildo.
Thank you so
that
much.
was hilarious. I was laughing my
I had
ass
to
off.
take that one down because
Why? It was hilarious.
it underperformed, and oh God,
I thought it was
I should have left it up.
hilarious.
I should have left it up.
Hilarious.
The video was all washed out. I was so upset about it.
Yes, Robbie. Do you have something?
No, I was just going to say, while we were talking about Dane Cook or something, I just wanted to give a shout out to the people that are in our live YouTube chat room.
Yes.
I wanted to say hi to Allison, Haley, Jess, Lucy, San, Ish, and Haley agrees. Please have Dane Cook on your podcast.
Yes, do it, Ashley. Hi, everybody in the chat room. Do it. I think that would be hilarious because I'm a fan of your podcast. I will be like right there listening because I would love to see the dynamic and say, you're the inspiration for my TikTok.
Honestly,
You should,
I do owe him a debt of gratitude.
Yeah. The worst thing he's going to do is say no, right?
Okay, I'll reach
Do
out to Dane Cook.
Good challenge.
I have to, before I do, I must vigorously research what he's been canceled for recently because I
know.
feel like already people are like,
Gara's gonna have her work cut out for that episode. Seriously, we should have had her on the show too. She cracks me up.
yeah, bring Gara on.
She's so funny.
I'll send them a message and
Yeah,
absolutely have
they
them
crack
on.
me up. Yeah. So there is this little bit of a thing we do on this show where we get to know you with some random questions. Our audience will know what this is. Stupid. Yes, we're gonna get to know Ashley Gavin a little more with some random questions. Are you ready, Ashley? I have no idea what
I
these
love
are.
your soundboard. My soundboard is a piece of shit.
Hey, it's just an app on my iPad. That's all. And we plug in. I pull all the sound clips from wherever I want and plug it in and hit the buttons. And
What
sometimes,
am I doing?
oh, the one at your Halloween episode was hilarious when your possessed Soundboard went crazy. It was.
You're like a super fan.
I know.
You
I told
love
you.
the
I told you. I
podcast.
listened to the
Tony is-
podcast.
Tony listens to like 112
I
podcasts.
do, and I
a day.
remember all of them. I'm telling you, actually, I
I'm
listened to the
so
podcast.
flattered. I am really, truly flattered because you guys are so great. So
Oh,
I'm
thank
honored.
you. Okay, first question. Let's see what my fabulous little cards they say. Okay, have you ever had a weird urban experience, like an urban legend experience?
Oh, I grew up in New York City. I was flashed for the first time at 11,
At 11?
and
in the
and
morning
a lot
or
of
at night or the age? I'm
Age.
kidding.
age 11. And sometimes when I say this, people go, oh, and they get really sad. And
Yeah.
I understand why they get sad because I was a child and that is a sex crime, like technically. But for
Yeah.
me, and no one wants to be Flash. That's terrible. But for
It
me,
depends
I
on
look
who's doing the flashing. Really, it really does.
not this guy.
Okay.
But I think it's hilarious because I was already so New York at age 11. I remember being like, okay. And then I like went to piano practice. Like that was,
How was
I was
piano
on the
practice? Were
street.
you like
I
able
was
to focus?
going, yeah, I mean, I literally was just sort of like, I didn't want to see that, but I saw it and now I go on with my day. Like that was,
Wow.
that's I don't know if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
but
that's great.
That was the
Great.
first thing that popped into, if you're like, what's it like to grow up in New York City? There it is. That's what it's
There
like.
it is. And since you're in New York City, this next question is going to be great. What is the creepiest thing you could say while passing a stranger on the street?
I'm going to stab you in the pussy with my dick.
Oh, I've gotten that before. No, I'm kidding.
Are we allowed to say that? Did we just get demonetized on
No.
YouTube?
And what age did that happen?
And was this at 11 too?
Yeah.
I think at that age I'd be like, I just have questions. But no, this was like in a crowd not long ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I don't even know if it was directed at me. That's how crowded it was. It was like Times Square area.
The only weird thing I think I've said this on the show is when Handmaidens. This cracked me up. So when Handmaid's Tale came out, I was on my normal walk here in Hillcrest, and there was some young 20-something-year-old girl walking by me, and I just looked down, and right when she said, I said, under his, or blessed be the day, and see what she would say. And it took her a minute, and then I kept walking, and then she realized, and she said, under his eye. Like,
Under his eye.
Yeah, and then she gave me a look, and we both started cracking up, because it was like, she's like, I know what you're talking about. It was funny. That cracked me up. Okay, next question. Ready? What body part do you wish you could detach, and why?
Oh my gosh. Detach.
Detach. And why would you detach it?
Can I put it back on? Am I like a cyborg?
Yeah. You can detach it. Do whatever you want with it.
I guess
Real hard.
I wish I could take my head off and just have the experience of my body without constant thought and anxiety. Just
my
like the
God. That
pure
sounds great.
existence of living and
Yeah. Actually, I'd be
like-
down for that.
like I'm a cat now. Like I'm a being, but I have few or no thoughts.
Yeah. I would
Is this
like
a
that.
weird answer? What do
No,
people
I
usually
am
say?
totally relating to this because in my head, it's just voices all day long. It'd be nice to chop that thing off, put it on a shelf, and go about my day with none of that shit in my head. You know what I mean?
Oh,
the
robot
robots
voices.
are back.
There's a lot of robotics.
No. Miss Miriam, your computer's possessed today, Miss Miriam T. All right, next
I'm not
question.
doing anything.
What is the scariest sound you can hear in the middle of the night, Ashley?
Oh God. Honestly, I'm one of those people where if I just hear even like a click, a weird like click or a weird just like the house settling sound,
Yeah.
I'm up and I'm like, okay, I have to check all the closets.
Oh God. I sleep like I'm so scared of the closets being open. I'm like, they're gonna come out and get me. I have to shut
Yeah,
all the I hate it.
I think any kind of disturbance, I don't
Doesn't
I
do
guess
it for you?
there are scarier. I guess there's scarier, but honestly, it doesn't take much for me to get out of bed and be like, what is going on?
Yeah. Okay, ready?
I think I did that last night.
You did?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, ready? What's the grossest thing you've ever seen someone do in public? You do live in New York, so.
I live in New York, so I've seen someone pee themselves in public. This is awful. I'm the
No,
worst
that's fine.
guest. I'm
No,
like,
you're. Oh,
I'm just
trust me,
like,
we've had worse. No,
Um,
not worse.
on the subway train, I've just seen like someone just instantly start
Peeing
like
themselves
sitting
for
on
no
the. They're
reason?
they're already like not in good shape and like people are not around them, but then they just go. They just literally let it go, and you're
God, to
like,
have that
all
freedom.
right, I gotta
if you
switch
just
trains now to have that freedom.
I know.
All you need to do is have an opioid addiction and you'll be there.
You're fine.
You just need your life to fall apart.
And then you can just pee whenever you want, not be judged. Really, people are like, "Oh," like you said on the podcast. One of the things you said that you hate when if somebody ever did this to you, is they look at you very sincerely, go, "Oh, you."
Yeah, on Mateo's episode.
Yeah,
I think
it made me laugh. Yeah. Oh, you. All right, the last one. Have you ever accidentally text the wrong person, and how did it turn out? And what did you text them that you immediately regretted?
I do this all the time because my contacts are out of sync on my computer. So I just have the phone numbers. So I usually go based on area code and I get it wrong a lot. And I have never once looked into fixing it.
You just keep doing it.
I just keep doing it. The outcome has not ever been so horrible. I think I texted like Corinne Fisher thinking that they were a comedian on my show. I was like, okay, be there by, and Corinne was like, did you mean to text this to Jordan Fisher? And it was not Jordan Fisher, but she had the right idea. She was like, this is not the correct person, which is embarrassing when it's someone like Corinne Fisher, who runs one of, if not the biggest sex positive podcast, like in a category of its own. I was just like so grateful to even have her phone number and like have her on and I'm like texting her random shit. And I was just like, oh yeah, sorry. And like, moved on.
Oh gosh. So another thing you did, and I'm curious if you're ever going to do a second season of Gay Girl, Straight Girl. Because
that's so sweet of you.
I think it's hilarious. I think especially when you're super stoned, it is so good. It is like I burned through that all. I think it's 11 episodes of the first season, right? I think
we pitched it around.
It's so good and it's such a good concept. I love it.
Thank you. We pitched it around. We wrote a pilot version of it, and no one was interested. I mean, maybe now we'll see. Maybe things will be better a year from now, and we'll pitch it again. But it was really, it took a lot of fucking work, and it was really expensive.
Yeah.
So to do it again would be a really big. It would be a big push. So I just, when you raise, we did a Kickstarter, we raised like $25,000 for it on Kickstarter. And when you do something like that, you want to feel confident that it's going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll do a season 2, but
I hope so.
would.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. I really did. And the other girl you do it with, oh my God, the dildo strap-on episode, I was laughing.
She's a genius. She's an actual genius.
And for our audience, you can watch the whole first season, I believe, on YouTube at Gay Girl, Straight Girl. And you have all 11 episodes. It's really cute. Go check it out. I loved it.
Thank you. Thanks for that plug. I never get that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So with your show, who would you love as a guest besides Dean Cook? Who would you love on a guest to come on and dive deep into their gay sex life or how they're having gay sex?
Well, now I have these, we had Demi Burnett a few weeks ago, who was like my dream guest at the time. And then this week, oh God, I probably shouldn't say this. I'm saying it. We have slated From Too Hot to Handle on Netflix. I don't know if you know that show, Francesca Farrago. She is like,
I don't know if I know that show.
Oh gosh, it's like I binged it in like one day. It's so good.
Is it on?
So
when
we're
is it on?
supposed to. When was it on? I think early. I feel like it was early pandemic.
Okay.
Pandemic.
Oh, yes, I do remember this show.
Yeah, so we have Francesca from that show. We're slated to interview with. Cool. She has not confirmed on the calendar, but she said she's coming. So hopefully we'll have her on.
Oh, and I feel such a guilty pleasure, this show.
Oh, it's the best show. It is truly. I love Love Island. I love The Bachelor. I love any kind of like love competition.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know what that says about me. But funny. Yeah, I think they're so hilarious.
So besides Francesca, who else would you want? Like, who else is another?
Well, it makes me feel like, oh my gosh, like maybe we can get some really truly actual big people.
Yeah.
So I would love to have Titus Burgess,
Titus
Unbreakable
Burgess,
Kimmy
yeah.
Schmidt.
He's an
I would love
amazing
to.
singer too. Oh, his
Yeah, he's
Broadway
just
shit is amazing.
perfect in
Yeah.
every way. He's just
He's hilarious.
wonderful.
Yeah.
The truly like the funniest person. I think he's like the funniest person. I would love to have, gosh, I don't know, like I would love to have some kind of musician. I would love to have like, you know, Demi Lovato or Katy Perry or Miley Cyrus.
That
like
would be
just someone like
amazing.
that. Because I feel like music is such the ultimate like art when it comes to human connection.
Mhm.
And when Katy Perry's song came out when I was in college, I Kissed a Girl.
Yeah.
Like that was huge. That was huge for me. That was enormous to hear my story on the radio. So I would
Yeah.
love to talk to some queer musicians.
Oh, that
That'd be
would
really,
be
really cool.
amazing. Oh my God. Can you imagine you and Katy Perry talking sex, gay sex? That would be so cute.
I think I'd slip off my couch.
I think anybody would slip off their couch. When did you come out in college, or when did you come out?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
college?
I came out in college. Yeah.
Yeah, same here. And I was like, yeah, no, my twin brother came out first and stole my thunder, and I was like, you bitch. Yeah.
Identical or fraternal?
Identical. Unfortunately.
Damn, that sucks. He should have coordinated with you at least.
I know. Like I always
He should-
said, there should have been one. There should have been one. And that's it.
Your brother is such a dick.
Oh, I hate her. I hate her. No, I don't.
Hi, Manny.
Hi, Manny. I know she's watching or listening. I hope. I know. No, we have a very love-hate relationship.
I can tell.
You're my bestest friend in the whole world, but my mortal enemy too, is what I say. But actually, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on this show. I'm so glad we got to sit down and talk to you.
You
It's been
guys
so
are
much fun.
awesome
Oh,
and
thank
so
you.
professional. The producer with the signs.
Oh,
My God.
our producer
Why
Rob.
don't I have that shit? I'm
Gara
constantly
needs to
opening-
get on it. Gara needs
Yeah,
to get
you
on
gotta give Gara more responsibility.
right? But everybody, you can go check out, go follow the podcast, go listen on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get it. We're having gay sex with Ashley Gavin and Gara. They are so amazing, and I really promote stuff that I love, and I am a fan of your guys' podcast. I love what you do. It's so good. So everybody go check that out. And how do people find you on TikTok, social, all of that good stuff, Ashley?
I should just come up if you search Ashley Gavin. I pray to God that I'm at least the most famous Ashley Gavin specifically on each platform. I mean, for a while that was not true, but there are other Ashley Gavins out there, unfortunately. But it's Ash Gavs on everything. On TikTok, it's Ash Gavs Comedy because I got banned as Ash Gavs. That's a whole other saga.
Oh. You talked about that on Emma Willman's podcast, if I remember right.
Yeah, you can get banned on there very easily. But if you just search Ashley Gavin, or if you go to ashleygavin.com, all of those links are there.
All of it will work. And you can, how do people find you, Miss Miriam T? And what do you have so much shit going on right now? Give us the rundown really quick.
Yeah, well, you can find me causing technical glitches on the Who Invited Her podcast.
Yes, thank you very much.
You can also catch me every Wednesday night for Blackout Bingo at Gossip Grill. I'm the new producer for the Thursday night Double D's Dinner and Drag show at Gossip Grill. If you missed out buying tickets for my tea party, sorry, they sold out in 16 hours, bitches.
I was so pissed about that.
I cried a little bit, so that was really nice. And then we'll be hosting Pixar trivia Monday, February 8th, and Legally Blonde trivia hosted by not Jennifer Coolidge.
You're doing it in Jennifer Coolidge, right? You say you
I'm doing it as not Jennifer Coolidge on the fourth Monday.
Are these live?
February.
Are these live events?
Yeah.
Yes, these are all live events.
That's kind of annoying. I wanted to do Pixar trivia.
I wish you could. I love doing trivia. If you're ever over here in sunny San Diego, I'm a game show freak, so I like to do lots of
and people go crazy at these trivia. Like they take it hardcore.
I know.
They take it hardcore. They come in costumes. Pixar's actually sold out too, so I don't know why I plugged it, but and you can go to the website sheherme.com.
Just that moment right
Just
there. That's why you did it.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go to my website, sheherme.com, and that'll lead you to all my social medias. The Miriam T is my Instagram handle.
There you go. And you can follow the podcast at Who Invited Her _podcast on Instagram, or Who Invited Her SD on Facebook and Twitter. I always forget it. I don't know why. I say it every week and I forget it. You could. Oh, yeah, Robbie has something to say. And you can watch us every Tuesday night if you missed the live show on Out at TV, which you can get on